Hi folks, welcome once again to Mr. H's weekly recaps. We've been off a couple weeks, mostly because of the mock election and kind of that monopolizing our time, so we're thrilled to be back to give you guys a little bit of insight into what's been going on over the last 2 weeks in your students' kind of stead in the classroom here in 1925 and kind of give you guys an overview of where we're going to be heading as we get into a new marking period and a new segment of the semester. A couple procedural things kind of about the upcoming days that are going to be taking place here at the high school, and this is not next week but the following week. I want to give you guys some insight into the schedule that's going to be going on here on campus. November 21st and 22nd will be a half day, and that will be because of different things going on in the afternoon for the faculty here. November 23rd, the students will have off for a staff development day, and that will be, again, kind of faculty doing stuff here on campus. And then obviously we have Thanksgiving break, and then when we come back from Thanksgiving break on the 29th of November, that day will be a 2-hour delay schedule. Again, different activities going on for the faculty in the morning, and students will come in and get a little bit of extra sleep-in time to kind of recover from those big turkey dinners before they come back to class. So keep those dates in mind, and obviously your students will be receiving more info, or you will also be receiving more info as we move forward. Let's talk a little bit about our GovEcon guys. Fantastic wrap up to the mock election this year. We had probably the best candidates we've had in a very long time, at least as long as I've been here at the high school, kind of showcase themselves in debates, in campaigning, in terms of ads and all kinds of great stuff going on with our students. The debates were exceptional. The Rock the Vote rally was great, and we had some coverage from WGAL, which some of you guys maybe saw on your local newscasts. So a huge thank you to all the students who participated in that. Students are in kind of the wrap-up process right now, filling out self-evals, which are due at the beginning of next week, and then we'll start posting grades both from the notes that I have, but also from the notes that students provide as far as where they feel their attitudes and their commitment level to their campaigns kind of fell. And we kind of take that into consideration with our notes as instructors, myself and Mr. Sostak, moving forward. As far as class content, we have officially moved out of elections, and we've been talking quite a bit of history recently, kind of building this case eventually to take us to the Constitutional Convention, and that's kind of what we've been doing this week with both the Gov classes. We'll kind of end the week talking about the ratification process and kind of the debates and different things that took place there. We'll try to keep Hamilton references to the famous musical to a minimum, but obviously a little of that's going to leak into the teaching this week. But obviously discussions of the Federalist Papers and different things that took place at the beginning of our nation will be in order. And then next week we'll start to begin the final leg of this kind of clunky middle unit, which is discussing Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 of the Constitution, and that is the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. For the world history students, again, we've taken a little bit of time off history to kind of focus on kind of the presidential debate and sort of what went on with the kind of wrap-up and conclusion to the election. Students took part in the writing of letters to a program called Letters to the Next President, which has received national publicity on things like the PBS NewsHour. Students took part in that, kind of looking at the foreign policy approaches of the presidential tickets out there, writing letters to different topics that kind of spoke to them, from immigration to, dealing with countries like North Korea and Russia, to topics across the board when it comes to foreign policy, military spending, benefits like that. So it was really interesting kind of looking at those letters and kind of bringing a world focus also to our discussions of the presidential election, something that's not always brought in there when we have so many topics of domestic interest that get dominant in there. This week we have been doing a lot of discussions of wrapping up Unit 2, which is looking at the Enlightenment, looking at some of the big ideas. It's appropriate that with the election now behind us, we've been talking about some of these principles that have been sort of the founding ideas of our nation. And so looking at the European Enlightenment, talking a little bit about the English Civil War and Oliver Cromwell, looking at the French Revolution and sort of the lessons learned from that, and then also getting into some of the other independence movements, revolutions, and Napoleon Bonaparte next week as kind of a wrap-up to the unit. We will have a unit exam coming up here soon. I have a date in mind, but obviously with all the stuff with the mock election, we do want to take into consideration that we give students proper time to prepare. So more info on that coming shortly. Also, kind of an update on our DBQ writing. Students did their first DBQ essay, and obviously the mock election has not helped me get through those essays very quickly. I'm hoping to have those essays back to students, and then we can debrief and discuss and kind of get students ready for their next experience in DBQ writing. Again, that's a little bit of what's happening here in 1925. If you have any questions, concerns, please feel free to email, and we'll see you guys back here next week.